But then I also think that a lot of times our reaction to a song is tied to our first experience of that
Mm,
song. What
mm.
happened, you know, if I was at a youth camp and that's when I committed my life to the Lord, or, you know, I had a great encounter with God's presence in a service at a crucial time in my life, and that's the song was being sung. And so, you know, I get that. I've had so many people tell me stories about holy ground, and you know, how this was happening, and our family will never forget it, and this was
Yeah.
happening. And so, you know, I think a lot of you know, part of it is the anointing that's on a song. Then I think also a lot of it's tied to the anointing and the presence of God we sensed in a time when that song was involved. And so we always identify, you know, in the Old Testament, they would always build an altar
Yeah.
so that they, every time they passed that way, they would remember the encounter. A lot of times our modern altars are songs. It's
Yeah.
a song that reminds us of that moment. And so either way, I love it. So I go back and get, I also love the old hymn. I am thine, O Lord. I have heard thy voice. Draw
Mm.
me nearer, nearer, blessed Lord. Oh, you know, how can you not like that? I need thee, oh,
Oh, yes. Yeah.
you know, and of course, you know, I'm me, so I put in chords that the original writer didn't like. You know, I go a little more, you know, Potter's house than First Pres, you know, but
But I think that's a big part of why your music is still, because it wasn't, you weren't trying to be relevant, you weren't trying to pitch it anywhere. You were influenced by, you know, Southern gospel, black gospel, Pentecostal, Baptist hymns, you know, old church hymns, and
yeah, mhm,
you stuck that all together and said, I'm not going to try to cater to anybody. I'm going to take everything that has been influenced,
exactly.
and because of that, you can go and, you know, you can go to a black gospel church and they'll, oh, sing Holy Ground. Yeah, we know Holy Ground. You can go to the Presbyterian. I mean, like, it's even in, I was actually going to pull this up. You know, the hymnology, the hymn
Yeah,
website,
yeah.
you're in there, bro. You're in. Holy Ground is in there. Like, you are there with Isaac Watts. You know what I'm saying?
It's
It's like,
crazy, dude. I've been in over a dozen hymnals. I thought you had to be dead or at least real old to be in a hymnal. Man, I've been in a dozen of them.
that's
My kids will tell me sometimes, Dad, you are real old, and sometimes we think you're dead. So,
you're gonna start seeing that, you know, but like, we're gonna see somebody post on Facebook, you know, uh, Jaron Davis, him now, did he die? Did he die? No, he didn't die. Just because he, you know, another song entered into the
here's a funny
greatest
story
hymns.
about the hymnal. When Holy Ground came out in the Baptist hymnal, you know, it'll tell the right in the credits at the back. They'll tell the writer and, you know, the publishing information, and they'll do the year they were born and the year they died. Well, you know, there is no year I died, thankfully. So I was born in 1960, and so I all that's in there is 1960. And somebody was doing an interview with me one time, and they go, "Now, how old is Holy Grail?" They say, "I see that you wrote it in 1960." I go, "Do I look old enough to have written that song
You look
in
really,
1960?"
really good for 120, brother.
So it's funny being in a hymnal, but you know, it's also cool to realize that, man, God saw something in this 25-minute offering from a 19-year-old kid that he could use for his glory. We went to Japan. The first time we went to Japan, we're singing it for 5,000 people, and we learned the chorus in Japanese. I'm not sure what they thought. Four Southerners were saying with our accents, and hopefully they just appreciated the effort. I'm not sure what the words
Probably.
translate to like them. But man, they stood and 5,000 people sang it in English
Mm.
in Japan.
Yeah.
The other side of the world, they're singing our songs, and I'm going like, wow. I just, I'm, I'm just blown away that God would use us that way. And we just sang at a funeral last night for a dear friend of ours who had heart issues and passed away. He's only 67, but great singer, wonderful friend. But he had a lot of friends, and so Mark Lowry was there, Reba Rambo was there, Clint Brown was there, Mickey Mangan, my pastor's wife, was there. We had all kinds of people singing and playing music, and they put me in charge of it.
Mm.
Wrangling. I said, man, it's hard to wrangle people who are used to doing the wrangling. Uh, you know, they're not used to being wrangled, but it was a great funeral. And afterwards, Mark Lowry went at his house, and he said, when did you write this, and when did you write that? Mark and I have been friends a long, long time. Me and my wife and my sister and brother-in-law stayed at his house, and Reba. We all just piled in there and had a great time. We're all like family. And he said, hey, did you always write your own song? Well, I wrote them all in the early days, but he said, you ever co-write? I said, yeah.